The new pack announcement has blown my mind. This is a massive meta shift changing pack that's coming out on next week, more specifically the night of October 7th. And then on October 8th, we're going to have a $1,000 tournament qualifier on twitch.tv/Decade using the new broken Mitsurugi. This is a TCG exclusive deck type that has been dominating the TCG meta ever since its release. Also in the pack, we have Ancient Fairy Life Dragon used for Blue Eyes. We have Dragon Ruler support, Dark Magician Girl for Shining Sarcophagus, and also Orcus support. Now let's start off with why is Mitsurugi so good? And it all comes down to Murakumo no Mitsurugi. More specifically, its effect of, on special summon, you could destroy all monsters your opponent controls. You could very consistently and very easily set this up for your turn 1 to be activated on the opponent's turn, and also, if you're going second, trigger its effect to wipe away all of your opponent's monsters. And what's even more crazy about this is how difficult this card is to negate. You could very easily chain link block the effect, thus a card like Apollo will not be able to negate it in many circumstances. And you could also very easily dodge an impermanence or a Veiler through the use of Mitsurugi prayers, which you're very likely always going to have access to, as it will tribute off your monster to dodge those negates. Now, what makes a deck good? The three main pillars I would say are consistency, the power ceiling, which would be your disruptions, quality of disruptions, and layered disruptions, and then the hand trap / board breakers category. Well, if this card is very easily able to destroy all monsters your opponent controls, and very consistently, and you could chain link block it or have it dodge a negate in addition to that mate, that super boosts up this category of board breakers / hand traps. Now, mostly many decks are going to just be very consistent and have a high power ceiling, and then it's going to be all up to their non-engine to provide those much needed board breakers and or hand traps. So theoretically, because of this card and it being chain link blocked and dodge and negates, you could possibly play almost an all-in engine deck with no non-engine, and then you would be covered on very consistently being able to break the opponent's board. Now, of course, the best way to play this will be with hand traps, and because we're Master Duel, we can't get too spicy. We, of course, have to play cards like Maxi and Ash Blossom to stop the Maxi, Call by the Grave, and Cross Out to also stop all that craziness. This deck is why King of the Feral Imps was banned in the TCG, because the deck was being comboed up with Raziel. And guess what we're going to be doing in Master Duel? That's exactly what we will do, as we're going to play King of the Feral Imps in Raziel to help search our deck for the Mitsurugi cards. And I'll tell you this right now, what is going to be mandatory from every single player is you're going to have to play Duel Lockbird at 3. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is as high of a priority of using Lancia against super top tier Malice as you're now going to potentially have to be main deck in both cards. Now, Malice did just get hit by the ban list, so the reason to play Lancia did definitely go down, and I would say that Duel Lockbird is a higher priority than playing Lancia, but you may want to play both. Probably still drop the Lancia. Let's look at the tier list over on the TCG meta side, on Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, and I'm showcasing here, when did the Habakiri come out? It came out May 1st. When did the newer deck types come out? Draco Tail, Yummy, and K9 came out on July 31st. So what we're going to do is we're going to customize the date on the tier list to just show the May 1st up until July 30th. Boom. And just like that, you can see Raziel Mitsurugi, the #1 deck of over 43,000 players worth of tournaments. 27.78% of the tournament top cuts were Raziel Mitsurugi. 25.58% of the top cuts were Malice, so closely behind it. But then we also have the third best deck also just being pure Mitsurugi. Now, what's going to be crazy for Master Duel is pure Mitsurugi and pure Raziel are going to be fighting for the third best deck slot, as Raziel Mitsurugi will be the sole best deck. And what's funny about this tier list is it's looking quite similar to the tier list on Master Duel Meta, where we have 50% plus of the meta being just Raziel and Malice. So now we're going to be squeezing in that third archetype. So between Malice and Raziel and Mitsurugi, there'll probably be a solid 60 to maybe even 70% of the meta, if you can handle that. But it will still feel like a 2-deck meta, because Raziel will be, the main way to play it is going to be with Mitsurugi, and vice versa. Best way to play Mitsurugi is with Raziel. Now, let's go a little bit deeper into the deck type. As you can see here on Yu-Gi-Oh! Meta, the best way to play the TCG version of Raziel Mitsurugi. What I do want to further highlight is on top of being able to wipe the field with the Murakumo, it also has a very annoying effect of when your opponent activates a card or effect, you activate this effect while it's on the field, your opponent now has to discard a card or the effect they activated is negated. Thus, summoning this early on your turn 1, if they then try to hand trap you later in the turn, they're going to be forced to -1. And then even during the opponent's turn, they're going to have to -1 when trying to deal with your other forms of disruption, in addition to this card being saved to board wipe the field at any moment. Now, it's also broken is the Habakiri. As you can see here, this effect is a once per duel effect. And are there any once per duel effects that are bad? You reveal this card in your hand, you then special summon a Mitsurugi from the deck, then you tribute one monster you control, and you do not need to have a monster on the field to activate this effect. You will special summon from the deck a Saji, you'll then tribute it, it will then trigger to then search your deck for a Mitsurugi ritual, which then means you can't Veiler or an Imperm this play as you summon the Saji and it activates in graveyard. And if we've learned anything from Branded Fusion, we know that using materials from the deck to perform a big summon is broken, and that's exactly what the Mitsurugi ritual does. Because we activated the Habakiri, it will still stay in the hand. It does not get sent to the graveyard. You're then going to use the Mitsurugi ritual to send up to 2 reptiles from your deck to special summon the Habakiri. And then the ritual is activatable more than once per turn as long as you use a different part of its effect. After you used your deck for materials, you now could summon a ritual monster from your deck using materials from your hand or field. And all the materials you're using, whether it's the hand, field, or deck, they are further triggering to special summon and search and all that nonsense. And Prayers is super broken, quick effect to search your deck and can reborn a monster or summon a monster from your hand within the same effect, and is also how you're going to be dodging an Imperm or Veiler. You then pair this all up with Raziel, where the main play of Raziel is going to be going right into the Feral Imps to search for the Habakiri, then pop off from there, while still, of course, fully accessing your detonator and all that good stuff. And that is a big reason why this deck is going to be absolutely insane. Now, that I think you have a good picture on how this deck works, let's move on to some other stuff in the pack. Starting off with Orchist. Orchist is receiving 2 new card support through their Link 1 and their Link 4. The Link 1 will add consistency to the deck. It will allow you to search for a World Legacy monster or a field spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand, so it has that added recursion effect from the graveyard if it's there instead. And then the Link 4 will add to the power ceiling of the deck, as it will allow you to non-target take control of one face-up monster your opponent controls permanently. And then it will also have the effect, if it's sent from the field to the graveyard from the extra monster zone, it could send 1 card in the field to the grave, non-targeting. And with the field spell, that will be a quick effect. But if we check the tier list for Orchist, you'll see Mitsurugi Orchist in the last 1 month is at about 2% of the meta, and Pure Orchist is about a little under 1% of the meta. Thus, we could assume that the Mitsurugi way will be the best play. So we click on that real quick to see a quick little showcase of that. There you go. This will be the Orchist Mitsurugi. And then if we look at Pure Orchist, and don't worry, I'm going to be making in-depth guides for at least the Mitsurugi Raziel. And if you want other deck types, please let me know in the comments, because it does take a lot of time to properly research and give you the good plays. Now, moving on from Orchist, we have Ancient Fairy Life Dragon. Why is this card good? Well, if we click on Blue Eyes, I want you to imagine you have a Spirit Dragon on the field attacking for 2,500. And then it activates its effect to special summon a monster from your extra deck, but it summons it into defense. Well, that's where the Ancient Fairy Life Dragon does not care. And if we also read this, you special summon 1 Light Dragon Synchro in defense, except destroy it during the end of the phase of the next turn. This is not considered a Synchro summon, so we're not going to get the triggered effect of if this card is Synchro summon, you get to draw 1 card. Now, more so, what's important is the fact that this can attack while in defense. So after hitting them for 2,500 damage, you're then going to further hit them for 33, a total of 5,800 damage to their face, and then any other monster, which let's say you have a Blue Eyes White Dragon, to finish them off. So turning this into I would say a lot more of an aggressive deck with that play is definitely a nice boost to the deck, giving it more so a better OTK capability. Now, what else do we have? We have Shining Sarcophagus support through Dark Magician Girl. Why is this good? Well, if this card is summoned, you could add a Shining Sarc from your deck to your hand, And what is good, you discard a card to then special summon this card. So any discard to then trigger the effect to get this out in the field, which would thus turn it into an extender and a starter. It does not take up your normal summon. And if we look here, we could only see it was topping a single tournament. A World Championship qualifier national, 99 players of the Iraq event, and this is what the deck list looks like. Now, in the OCG, they're not playing Shining Sarcophagus. They're instead teching the Shining Sarcophagus into multiple different decks, which is quite interesting. So you can see Orcus, Dracotail, Crystron, Evil Eye, and Monarchs all have had a taste of the new Dark Magician Girl. If we open this up, I'll just quickly highlight the deck types and you could screenshot whatever you want. I'm not going to go deep into them. That's the Orcus, Dracotail, the Monarchs, Orcus, Crystron, another Dracotail. We even have a random Malice deck is playing this. What the heck? Okay. I kind of want to try that. That's interesting. Okay, cool. And then we could see here, we have Dragon Ruler. Dragon Ruler is not doing too hot in the past 3 months on the tier list, but that's okay. Let's talk about it anyway. So one of the main cards is going to be the Chasma. Quick effect, you could send a Dragon Ruler from your deck to the graveyard to then copy that effect. What's really crazy about copying effects is, let's say you're copying the effect of a Foolish Burial. This states send a monster from your deck to the graveyard. You maybe want to ash that, right? Well, if you're copying the effect, you can't ash the effect because my effect is to copy someone else's effect. It's not actually sending a monster from the deck to the grave until resolution, thus you can't ash it. You could also copy the effect of Reborning from the graveyard with the Redox. You can copy the effect of the Blaster to pop a card in the field, and this is a quick effect, activatable on both turns. You detach one material to activate the effect, so it'll be activatable on your turn and then on the opponent's turn. And then what does the Tempest do? You can, if this card is discarded, you could add one dragon monster from your deck to hand. So search, pop, reborn, or send from the deck to the grave. And what's crazy about this is people are using it to floodgate. I don't know how else to tell you. They are going to, on the first turn, use the title effect to send a Christia, which neither player can special summon if this is on the field, or they'll send the Sloth, which says neither player can special summon except Morphage monsters, and that's from the extra deck only. Or they'll summon a Kokomir Drago, which says neither player can special summon light or dark monsters. You're going to choose your poison, and then on the opponent's turn, you're going to use the effect to copy a Redox, send Redox to the graveyard to then reborn whatever floodgate monster you put into the grave. Yes, I am not kidding you. That is how it is being played. If we look at the TCG stats here, we could see all the different tournament tops. And as we see here, we could see even within the main deck, yes, they're not just siding it. We do have Christia, a 60% sided card within this deck, Kokomir Drago in the main deck. And yeah, I'm also telling you that Tenpai is going to be played in the deck. So it is Tenpai, Dragon Ruler, turn 1 Floodgate with a Drago or a Christia or a Goliath, which is the same effect as the Sloth. Now, only one of these Mad Lads was not playing a Floodgate. So this was a Floodgater in the main deck. This is a Floodgater in the main deck. This is also a Floodgater. This one, I think, is the one that's not floodgating. And then the other deck type, wait, are these the two that are not floodgating? So maybe it's not, oh no, this one is a floodgate, correction. I see the Sloth, the other Sloth card. This is the only deck that's not floodgating unless they side against you. Then they side in the Kokomir Drago. So it would be, instead of reborning a floodgate from the grave on their turn 1, they would instead pop a card in the field by copying the Blaster, which I would like to think was the intended part of this effect, to disrupt your opponent, not be dumping a floodgate then reborning it. But I mean, Konami should know better. Now, what else is good about this deck potentially? We have the Eclipse Dragon Ruler, which when the opponent activates a spell or trap card, you'll negate the activation and banish that card. And then let's talk about what's actually cool about the deck. What's cool about the deck is this card. This will not be a turn 1 summon. This card will be, if properly done, it's going to be 4,600 attack and defense. It will be unaffected by all other card effects. And on summon, you are going to banish all monsters your opponent controls and in their graveyard. Non-target, banish everything. Now, it more specifically states that it has to be the attributes under this, but our goal is to have every single attribute. Now, what's interesting to even summon this, it's 2 rank 7 monsters, not level 7. So we're going to be using the rank 7 Dark Eclipse, and then we're going to use the rank 7 Light Chasma. That will be your light and dark. And then you have to, on summon, on Xyz summon, target up to 4 level 7 dragon rulers that are in the graveyard or banishment, no matter where they are, attach all of them, and then when you have all 6 attributes, the light, the dark, the earth, the water, fire, and wind, that is when you truly gain the unaffected effect and 4,600 attack and defense, and in addition to that, banishing every single attribute in existence besides, of course, divine, which is not a relevant attribute, that is. And I think that is it for the pack review. A quick little showcase or explanation on why Mitsurugi is broken. Let's see some comments. Yay, bye, Tier 0 Mouse. Hello, Tier 0 Mitsurugi, Raziel, Smiley. Okay. Now it's time for Mitsurugi to terrorize people until 2026 when K9 Yummy Draco Tail meta drops. This is why I filtered them out. Enjoy Master Duel, guys, especially Rogue Deck players. Good luck, F. Konami. Why no Azamina? Because Konami hates you. What else? Elingursu, my goat, you're here. Yup. Shining Star, Dark Magician Girl, just in time to never get played because Raziel Mitz is best deck. You know, again, my theory is the same thing with Malice, them receiving their Ignister support, is that they just want to get this out of the way, and we're going to have to suffer because of it. And the cards are inevitably going to have to be released, right? But I thought the better way to release it was this. Tell me if this is a crazy idea. I thought that they could heavily nerf Malice and then give us Ignister. And then I thought they could heavily nerf Raziel and then give us Mitsurugi. I did not know that we were going to get Ignister with untouched Malice and then get Mitsurugi with untouched Raziel. This is truly a money-making move if I've ever seen one, right? Like, what else could we even say? But is it working? Are they making a lot of money, or are they just chasing players away? As much as I want to doom and gloom, please show up to the twitch.tv $1,000 tournament qualifier, whether the meta is going to be good or bad, because we're going to see for our own eyes on Wednesday as the pack comes out on Tuesday night. All right? Hopefully things don't get worse, but you know, I don't really want to even say anymore. All right? I'll see you in the next video. I'll see you on Twitch. Let's go.